please, if you could, with all the respect you can, listen up and take notes and clap.
Thank you. Has everybody written down their goals today? Has everybody written down their goals today? Tell me the truth in advance and quickly write a couple down. Just say yes and quickly write a couple down. And the ones that you write down will be the most important ones to you because they're at the forefront of your mind. It's not like, oh, let me find the important ones. The important ones are the ones that come into your head very first up. How are you, Andy? Good to see you.
Good to see you, Carol.
And when you've written them, double it. So if it's a dollar amount, double it. If it's a house, double the size of it. If it's a gift to charity, double it. Whatever you wrote down or whatever you've thought about, double it for me. Just for fun, we're allowed, aren't we? You look very good. Very sharp. Hello, Max. How are you? I feel like I know you already. Now, the question is, you're capable of writing down what you want to achieve, yes? I didn't hold your hand and say, write this or I'm going to shoot you, did I? You wrote it down. So there's a reason you wrote it down. Now the question is, why haven't you achieved it yet? I'll rephrase the question. Are there people who have achieved the things that you've written down?
Yes.
Are there people in the world who have already done that? Yes or no? Yes? Are those people, is it possible that they're uglier than you are? Yes or no? Absolutely yes. Yes! Are there people that have achieved those goals that are fatter than you?
Yes.
Yes, write it down. Yes. People have achieved this goal who are uglier than me and fatter than me. Now comes the really scary question. Are there people that have achieved those things that are uglier than you, fatter than you, and dumber than you? Yes or no? Yes. Just say yes. A big yes from the front here. So the big question is, if people have achieved what you want to achieve, they're uglier than you, fatter than you, dumber than you, what would be your excuse?
Not much.
Not much. Even lazier than you. How about that? Who believes that you are a really hard worker and there's people who have achieved your goal that you've written down? They're on your holiday right now. They're catching your fish. They're driving your car. They're sleeping in your double king-size bed. They're giving your money to charity. And they don't even work as hard as you do. Is that possible?
Yeah.
I used to think that, or the analogy I used to use, was that your self-esteem was your internal engine. So you know how we use analogies here at Max? I used to say to people, it's the thing that drives you. Your self-esteem is the thing that drives you. But what I found out is that everybody's got an engine. Some people have got a 2-cylinder lawnmower engine. And some people have got a V8 engine, some people have got a V12, and some people have got a jet engine. We've all got one inside. The challenge we've got is that we don't put our foot on the accelerator to make that thing go fast. Or some of us drive really carefully, so we put our foot on but we just drive real slow. So just quickly turn to the person next to you and say, I've got an engine. Just to so you can affirm that. I've got an engine! Who thinks they've got a really big one? Who thinks they've got a really big one? Go. Guys, if you're sitting next to a girl, she's gorgeous and you're single, make sure you're impressive with that engine size. I've got a V12 engine. Now, the next thing I'd like you to do is disconnect from the person next to you, because tonight is not about being a fitness professional. Tonight's not about how to become a better person for the fitness industry. Tonight's about you. So turn to the person next to you and say, I'm the most important person in the world tonight. What's holding you back from putting your foot on the accelerator and driving as fast as you possibly can, so fast that you take off? Imagine being in your car and you go so fast that you just take off the ground like a plane. I've got something for you to consider before we go any further. Is it possible, or I'll ask you a question, how many of you have failed in your life? Keep your hand up if you're dead. Yeah. So everybody's failed. Pretty much everybody put your hand up. Everybody's failed, but nobody died from failing. So we're not really scared of failing, are we? Because we've all done it before and we didn't die. The worst thing that could happen is that we die, and none of us died from failing. Have a look at the goals that you wrote down, and remember, I've doubled them already. So they're bigger than you expected. What would happen if you achieved those goals right now? Just for fun, double them again. So now they're 4 times bigger than what you wrote down. So whatever the size is, the amount is, the thing is, make it 4 times bigger. So let's say you put down 100 PT clients. You've now got 400. So you haven't done that yet. And some of you will say, well, I'm scared of failing at that. My suggestion would be, maybe you're scared of succeeding at that. Because in our country, and New Zealand, Max, when you succeed at something that big, what happens? People certainly notice. And when people notice, what happens? They want to make it bad. They want to pull you down. It's called the tall poppy syndrome. If we could put your foot on the accelerator and your whole life took off and you didn't just achieve the goals that you wrote down, but 4 times bigger, larger, more better than what you wrote down, I'm going to suggest that we're a little bit scared of doing that because people might not like us. Would that be fair? Question: how many of you have ever in your life not done something because you're scared that somebody wouldn't like you because of it, or they'd think you're an idiot, or you'd be embarrassed because other people would say, oh, look at that silly person doing that? Yes or no? Yes. And if you... okay, I'll rephrase again the question. Tell the truth. Turn to the person next to you and say, tonight I'm going to tell the truth. No exaggeration, no underestimation. Tonight I'm going to tell the truth. They're really important. Tonight's the truth. Now I'll re-ask the question. How many of you have never have done something or not done something because you were scared of what other people would think? Tell the truth. We all have, yes? Yes. Thank you. Which means our challenge is what other people think. So the first thing I want to do tonight is give you the definition of what self-esteem really is. It's putting your foot on the accelerator without caring what other people think. It's achieving your goals, being the best person that you can possibly be, doing what it is that you want to do, and not caring what other people think. Bless you. That was a very good sneeze. That was a fitness professional sneeze. We all learn to yawn through our ears and sneeze with our mouth closed. Well done. Imagine what would happen if you put your foot on the accelerator and you drove as fast as you possibly could and you didn't care what other people thought. How's those goals looking that you wrote down? The next thing we're going to do, take off the table, is your past. Because a lot of people will say, I can't achieve that goal, those goals, because I had a terrible childhood. You don't know what happened to me in my life. All these terrible things have happened. Quick question. Hands up if you've had bad stuff happen to you. Pretty much all of us have had bad stuff happen. Question. Are there people that have had bad stuff happen to them and they've become stronger from it? Better people and grown from it? Yeah? Are there people that have had worse stuff happen to them than you have?
Yeah.
This is called yes, tell the truth. And have they become better and stronger because of it? So here's, when we're playing with this really powerful thing called your self-esteem, your ability to put your foot on the accelerator and drive, I want you to think about if you told the truth to yourself, rather than blaming your past, terrible parents, terrible teachers, it was the government, worse, I was abused as a child, I had breakup, I had divorce, I had terminal illness in my family, all those horrible, terrible things that happen to people. When bad things happen to you, what most people do is say, you poor little thing, that's terrible. And 5, 6, 10 years later, we're still feeling sorry for ourselves for what happened to us. What if somebody had the courage to do this? Wake up to yourself. You cannot change one thing that happened to you in the past. Not even what happened 1 second ago can you change. All you can change is how you respond or react to what happens. Now, you can't change your past, but right now, today, this very minute, guess what you can decide? I will respond differently to what's happened to me in the past. Some of you have already had clients like this. I had a handful of them. Women who said to me, oh, I can't lose weight, I've had children. Really? How old are your children? 15? So you're fat because you had children. Guess what I used to say as a trainer? Wake up to yourself. You can't blame your kids for the shape of your body. Who needs to take responsibility for the shape of your body? You do. So if you want to put your foot on the accelerator, a great place to start is reality. Start with the truth. Have a look in your bank account. If there's no money in there, say, hey, I'm broke. Have a look at your belly, and if it's fat, say, hey, I'm fat. It's a good place to start, because then you stop kidding yourself. Then you can't change what's happened in the past, you can't change what you ate, you can't change what you spent, you can't change what you read, you can't change the silly relationships you've had, you can't change anything. But what can you do now? You can change your response to what happened to you in the past. If that's the only thing you take out of tonight, or better still, interesting analogy, I'm going to hold a gun to your head and you have to teach this stuff to someone else or I'll shoot you. Would you learn it? Pretty quickly. If we can get our clients to learn this stuff too, and really quickly, they'll get results much more quickly as well. So tonight's really important. However, who's tonight about?
Me.
Just as a little side note as we go along, think to yourself though, how can I teach this to somebody else so they can get the benefit from it as well? So the first thing is, what is my self-esteem? It's my ability to put my foot on the accelerator and not caring what people think, and doesn't matter about my past. You might write this in letters about this big. I take full responsibility for everything that's happened to me up until now. I take full responsibility for everything that's happened to me up until now. When you take full responsibility, who's in control of your life? You are. The minute you blame somebody else or an experience or the past, who's in control of your life? Worst case scenario. And I got into a little bit of trouble last night because there was somebody in our Brisbane college who this had happened to them. And I'm not going to apologise for it, but I will pre-warn you, it's a very ugly situation. Imagine if you walked into a room and your partner was sleeping with your best friend, but they weren't sleeping. They were naked in a bed together. Would that be pretty bad? I don't wish it upon you, of course I don't. But that would be a really great thing to happen. The reason that would be so great is is that really your best friend in that bed? And what did you just find out? They're not really my best friend. And what did you just find out about your partner? Not really a great partner. So the big test to your self-esteem is you can put your foot down and drive, regardless of what people think of you, regardless of the past, and regardless of what happens to you. Because wouldn't that be a great reason for some people to say, oh, I can't be successful, I can't achieve my goals, I've just found my partner in bed with my best friend, how could I possibly go forward now? Yes or no? People, you know, we go home, we eat chocolate, we buy pizza and beer, we listen to sad songs, watch sad movies and feel sorry for ourselves. And guess who's in control now? Not you. The people that wanted to hurt you have just achieved it brilliantly because you've allowed it to happen. I know this sounds really harsh, but I want you to think about it. Nobody can make you feel bad without your permission. Nobody can make you angry without your permission. Nobody can pull you down without your permission. It's really easy to say, it's not my fault, look what they did to me. They were going to do it all the time because that's the kind of people they are. But you have a choice about how you respond or react to that situation. Isn't that exciting? Who would like to be in the situation where you walked in the room, found your partner with your best friend, in bed together, not sleeping, and you said, wow, that's interesting? Who would like to be that strong? For the really smart people in the room tonight, this is going to be a little bit confronting, because to get to that place is not that difficult, and the steps are really simple. But really smart people go, it can't be that easy. So the really smart people in the room are going to be challenged with it. It's a bit like writing down your goals. If you don't question the practice of writing down your goals, you just go, well, hey, what if that worked? And you started writing them down. Those of you who have done that, what happened when you started writing your goals down? You started achieving them, didn't you? It's just what happens. Guess what smart people do? I wonder how that works. And they analyse it. And they don't do it, they just analyse it. Meanwhile, the person who's not very smart's written their goals down and they're achieving them, and the smart person hasn't achieved any goals yet because they're wondering how that happens. So I'd like to give you a little philosophy tonight that you could try. It goes like this. If somebody says you can't do it, or it's not possible, you say, let's have a go at it anyway. Just relaxed and comfortable. Say to yourself, let's have a go at it anyway. Say it out loud. Let's have a go at it anyway. Even if it sounds really easy or really hard, let's have a go at it anyway. Now, some of you in this room were in a certain age group. Us folks here, we're a little bit more chronologically advanced. Most of, and Max, you were kind of in that same age group. This guy you will have heard of before. There's some people in this room who've never heard of this guy before. However, you are reaping the rewards of this guy. The guy I want to share with you is somebody that inspires me every single day, particularly when I'm running. His name is Roger Bannister. And he was the very first man ever in the history of the world to run under a 4-minute mile. But the reason I love Roger, and I never met him by the way, but the reason I love him with my whole heart is when he ran that under the 4-minute mile, he was told that it was impossible. But not just by pullers and not just by other athletes who didn't want him to achieve, and not just by people who thought he was an idiot. Doctors, exercise physiologists, sports physicians said to Roger, if you run under a 4-minute mile, your muscles will heat up so much that they will melt. Implode, explode, I don't know, and you'll die. It's impossible to run a 4-minute mile. So it wasn't just negative people that were telling him that. Imagine, doctor says to you, it is impossible, young man, to run a 4-minute mile. Your muscles will melt and you'll die. What would most people say?
How they do it.
That's interesting. It obviously can't be done. The doctor told me it can't be done. Roger said, let's have a go at it anyway. What a great philosophy to take away from tonight. If it's the only thing you take away, try that one on for size. If someone says it can't be done, you're going to say,
Let's have a go.
Let's have a go at it anyway. If it's something that you want to do, let's have a go at it anyway. Guess what Roger did? He did it. He ran under a 4-minute mile. 6 weeks later, bless you, an Australian guy did it. Down under guy ran under a 4-minute mile. Now, if you've got anything to do with running, 4-minute miles are quite common, quite normal. Somebody in this room tonight, I don't know who you are, might be even 2 people, wrote down on your goals list something that hasn't been done before. Like Roger. Somebody might have even told you that it's impossible, can't be done. And you've already said to yourself, let's have a go at it anyway. The reason I'm giving you that is a classic tick box for a high self-esteem. That's the foundation of a high self-esteem. That when somebody tells you you can't do it, you're too tall, you're too short, you're too fat, you're too skinny, you're too old, you're too young, you say,
Let's have a go.
let's have a go at it anyway. You don't let other people pull you down. So if you're one of those people in this room, and I don't know who you are, but you're feeling really good right now, you've written something down that nobody's ever achieved. Here's another classic example of that. Alexander Graham Bell, the guy that made the telephone. I didn't meet him either. Do you reckon there was a few folks that when he said we're going to connect 2 wires together over long distance and we're going to talk to each other through plastic devices that you hold in your hand, do you reckon there was a few people that said that that was impossible? Yeah. If somebody said to Alexander that day, in about 100 years, there's going to be these little plastic things, they're about that big, and they won't have any wires connected to them, and they'll have buttons on them, and you'll be able to take photographs with them and send that photograph to the other side of the world in about a millisecond. What do you think Alexander might have even said?
I hope I get reborn.
What I'm trying to do tonight is expand your mind a little bit, because we have been told, most of us, all of our lives, that we can't do it. And the reason I know that is when you're a little kid, really little, and somebody said to you, what do you want to be when you grow up? Write down what you said if you can remember. When you grow up, what are you going to be? A rock star, a movie star, a rocket scientist, a spaceship man. I'm going to be a dancer. I'm going to play for Australia in the World Cup rugby. I'm going to play for the All Blacks, New Zealand. I'm going to find a cure for cancer. When you were a little kid and somebody asked you that question, did you have any doubt that you were going to do that? Of course not. You believed that that's exactly what you were going to do. Now here's the really uncomfortable question for the evening. How many of you have ever had a lousy, stinking, rotten job that you don't like or haven't liked or currently have? Hands up. Lousy, stinking, rotten, horrible job. Most. When you were a little kid and somebody said, what are you going to do when you grow up? Did you ever say, I'm going to have a lousy, stinking, horrible, rotten job that I absolutely hate? Absolutely not! Because that was never, ever the dream for your life, was it? Ever. So somewhere between I'm going to be a rock star, I'm going to save the world, I'm going to play for the All Blacks, to the lousy, stinking, rotten job that you absolutely hate, something broke down. And that's what we're going to stick a rocket under this evening and get that pedal to the metal and get it going. Does that sound exciting?
Yes.
So definition of self-esteem is your ability to accelerate without caring what other people think, without
worrying about things in the past.
Get rid of the past, don't care what other people think, and regardless of what happens to you. Now, we do have to, a couple of you have been through this story with me, and you know my theory about a great story. Can you hear a great story twice and still appreciate it? Yeah. A bit like a great song. How many of you have heard a really good song and listened to it more than once? Yeah. Well, that's a bit like this story. If this story doesn't fit your life, just pretend anyway. So just come on the journey with me. You ready? You wake up in the morning, look in the mirror, and you say, oh, I look good. Say it. I look good. Say it. Who made the decision? Now what happens is you've made a decision in your conscious brain, and we all understand now that that information gets fed to your subconscious brain, and your subconscious brain now goes through all the files in there, like a Google search engine. You've typed in, I look good. So all the files in your brain that contain look good now get fed back into your conscious brain. It's really exciting. So when you were 3 years old, somebody said, what a good looking baby. And that file comes back in your brain and makes you feel good. And when you were 7, you went to a party and somebody said, oh, you look really pretty tonight. Not you, Andy, you looked handsome.
Okay.
And that came back into your brain. And your very first boyfriend or girlfriend said to you, oh, I'm so lucky to have you, you're so good looking. And that gets fed into your brain. So the whole day, every single file in your brain, because who typed in the Google search word? You have control of that. Isn't that exciting? Nobody forces you to type in words. You have a choice here. Here's your fingers, here's the typing. You typed in, I look good. Now all these files are being fed into your brain to say, yes, you do, you look good. Who made the decision? Now that's your engine. You've just put your foot on the accelerator. How good's that? And all the files in your brain are now the turbocharge for the rest of the day. But here comes our environmental challenge. For the sake of the story, come with me. We live in a house with 5 people, let's just say. Pretend. You come out of the bedroom and everyone's sitting in the kitchen and they say to you, wow, you look good. What have you been doing? Did new makeup? You've had your hair cut? You've been working out? Did you have a good sleep? Did you get some last night? You look great. 5 people have just told you how good you look. What's happened now? On your way out of the house, you look in the mirror just as you leave the door, going out the door, and there's a mirror just by the door, and you look in the mirror, and what do you now say? Oh, I feel damn good. I look hot. You go outside to your car and you look on the bonnet of the car and there's your favourite thing sitting on the bonnet of the car. Now, whether it's a slab of Coronas or a bunch of flowers or a box of chocolates or a bottle of wine or a bottle of Moe champagne or one of your favourite things is sitting on there, and you open up the card that's with the present and the present says, thank you for being such a lovely neighbour, we just wanted to give you a gift to say how awesome you are. How are you feeling?
Right.
Good. You go to the letterbox for the sake of the story. There's a letterbox at your house. And about 6 weeks ago at Pacific Fair, one of those people said to you, would you like to buy a ticket to help the surf lifesavers? And you being the generous person that you are, you said, of course. And you gave them $2 or $5 or whatever it was. Not even noticing that the prize for that ticket was a house, a car, a jet ski, $20,000 worth of gold bullion and a mobile home.
Sweet.
You go to the letterbox. There's a letter in there, a really cool one from the Surf Lifesavers. You open it up and it says, congratulations, you've just won our first prize draw. You've won a house and a car and a jet ski, some gold bullion and a mobile home. And you don't even like mobile homes, but you're still really excited, yes or no? Yes. The thing's worth $100,000, you can sell it. How are you feeling? How's your day going? Oh, you kind of think to yourself, I might not go to work today because look what's happened. But you want to go to work today because you want to tell everybody, yeah? So you drive to work, but of course it's personal training day today, so on the way to work you drop in at the personal trainers. Because all great fitness professionals have a trainer, yes. And you arrive at the trainer and the trainer says, God, you look good. What's happened? And you go, well, ask me what's happened. Look at this. I just can't believe how good my day's going. You train PBs on everything. You kick harder, punch harder, jump higher, lift heavier than you ever have in any PT session ever. And every single exercise you train says to you, wow, you're a legend, you're amazing, I can't believe how well you're training. When you walk out of the personal training studio, how do you feel? Come on, how do you feel? Drive to work, arrive in the car park at work, and the whole crew at work, let's pretend that you work in an office, and you arrive in the car park and the whole crew, this many people, is waiting for you in the car park. When you get out of the car, everyone claps and cheers, yelling your name. There's a huge big trophy and a huge big cheque. You have just been nominated Employee of the Year and a $20,000 rewards increase, wages increase. And this huge big trophy, and the boss is there shaking your hand saying, wow, we love having you here, you're amazing, thank you so much for working on our team. How's your day going? At lunchtime, when you go out to buy your lunch, somebody says to you, how are you today? What do you say? I'm amazing, I'm fantastic, I'm awesome, everything's great. Yeah? If you don't say you're great, you should probably shoot yourself now. Because life's pretty good right now. Got that picture in your mind? What's interesting, because I can see everybody's faces, that story is not even true, but we're excited about it. We can put ourselves into the picture and be excited about it. Isn't that interesting? We took our brain there. Groundhog Day, go back to the beginning of the day, wake up in the morning, look in the mirror, type in the words. What are you going to say when you look in the mirror? I look good. All the files feed through. When you were 3, someone said you're a good-looking baby. When you were 7, and a boy said you're so good-looking, your first girlfriend or boyfriend said, oh, I'm so lucky to have you, you're so good-looking. There's a whole bunch of girls that bullied you at school when they said, it's not fair, you're so good-looking. But that's a positive file, and it comes back into your brain all day long. You go out into the kitchen, there's 5 people who live in your house. And someone says, are you all right? You don't look very well. You look a bit tired. A few wrinkles. You look terrible. 5 people tell you how awful you look, how bad you look, how old you look, and one of them is a bloke, and he says, and you look like you put on a few kilos. Oh, fat. 5 people have now told you that you don't look so good. In the morning, you decided that you... But now 5 people have told you that you don't look good. What's happened? Tell the truth. For most of us, what's going on now?
Depletion of self-esteem.
So we go out of the house, look in the mirror on the way out and go, oh, I don't look very good. We get outside, and overnight somebody has left a special gift on our car. 20-cent marks down both sides. We go to the letterbox, and there is a lovely letter in there with the window from the Department of Motor Transport, and there's a lovely photograph of you driving your car, and you've lost your licence. Thank you, Andy. Andy's a very positive guy. Your licence, and you have to surrender your licence to the Department of Motor Transport for 12 months. So you now go to the personal trainer. You arrive at the trainer's, and the trainer says, what's wrong? You don't look very happy. And what's with your posture? It's all rounded. And you look like you live on the grumpy planet. What's going on? Take note, as a fitness professional, you can turn that around. See, what have you just fed into your own brain? That's all negative stuff. As a trainer, you wouldn't want to be feeding that stuff into somebody's brain. So you go and do your session, and you lift lighter, kick softer, run slower, and you have the worst session you've ever had. You've never trained this badly. And your trainer tells you, they say, shocking, absolutely shocking session. What's wrong with you? How do you feel when you walk out of the PT studio? Oof. Drive to work, arrive in the car park, and go to your desk, and there's a little letter on there that says, due to the global financial crisis, your position has been made redundant. You've lost your job. Please come to the security office, hand in your keys, receive your final payment, and get off the property. You think to yourself, I'm going to go and have a chat with my boss just before I leave. And you walk into the office, and the boss says, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be gone. And you say, I've just come to say thank you. This is the best day of my whole entire life. I can't believe how good I feel. You have forced me to get out of this lousy, stinking, rotten job that I hate, and I'm now going to go and become an international fitness professional because that's something I've wanted to do for my whole life. Did I just tell the truth of what most people would say? No. I told a very positive version. See, most people would probably go to the pub, get drunk, or cry, eat 2 packets of Tim Tams and think that life was treating them really badly? Yes or no?
Yeah.
So what's really important right now is the same day, the same 12 hours, the same person, and the same information was put into the wiring at the beginning of the day. One story, because they're all about you, yes? One story was the definition of self-confidence. Self-confidence simply means that you can be happy, you feel confident, you feel good when everything's going great. When your life is good, when the people in your life is good, when the experiences are good, when the situation's good, you feel good. Self-confidence comes from the outside. Does that make sense? The last part of the story of the second story is the true definition of self-esteem, which means regardless of the 5 people that told you how bad you look, and regardless of how badly you trained that day, and regardless of losing your job, and regardless of all the bad things that could possibly happen to you, when somebody says to you, "How are you today?" you say, "I'm fantastic. I'm awesome. My life is great." Because it's not other people that affect your life, and it's not experiences or situations or the environment. You're the person that controls how you feel. Now, a little bit tougher to be happy, positive and excited when you've had a day like the second story. But there's a reason I like diamonds. First of all, they're the hardest substance in the world. Yep. They cut glass. But what creates a diamond? Pressure. If a diamond wasn't put under pressure, it would just be a brown piece of coal. Thank you very much. Just be an ugly piece of nothing. If you had the first day over and over and over your whole life, would you become a strong person? Would you become a shining star? I say this only because she's in the spotlight. I believe you would become very similar to Miss Hilton, for example, where life's been pretty wonderful. I've got some people in my life like that where their worst thing that they can think of is which designer jeans to wear today. Should I wear my Versace's or my Dolce & Gabbana's? I don't know. Like, that's the biggest decision they've had to make in their life. Will I go out with their real estate agent or the stockbroker? Does this create a strong character, a strong person, a person that's going to take on the world and change it? No. So here's the next big takeaway from tonight. Those tough days, thankful for them or complain about them? Thankful for them or complain about them? In the long term, we all end up being thankful for them. We all do. Because when you think about all the terrible things that have happened to you and you haven't died, we all know that the reason we're the strong people that we are today is because of what's happened to us in the past. What we want to do is shorten up the time frame from when the bad stuff happens to when we learn the lesson. And the 3 questions you're going to ask yourself when something happens to you is, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? And how will this stretch me? Would they be 3 great little tools to take away? What can I learn from this situation? How can I grow from it? And how will it stretch me? When the pressure comes, and I like pressure better than the word stress. We often say stress, but to me that's a negative word. But if you use the word pressure and think diamonds, it becomes a really positive word. And say to yourself, I'm under pressure right now. I'm becoming a diamond. How good does that sound? I'm under pressure right now. I'm becoming a diamond. What can I learn from this situation? How can I grow from it? And how will it stretch me? How will it make me into the brilliant, strong person that I'm becoming? Exciting? So we're not talking about how to improve your self-confidence, because that's easy. I used to do it by wearing little clothes. Because I had a pretty hot body, so I used to show it off, didn't I, Mutti? I used to have my abdominals hanging out, my ass cheeks hanging out, and I used to walk around the place, and it was great for my self-esteem. because everybody would look at me. It wasn't, not good for my self-esteem. It was terrible for my self-esteem. Really good for my self-confidence, though. I used to teach group exercise. Really good for my self-confidence. Because 100 people, back in the 80s when I taught aerobics, there was 100 people in my class, all going, Rowie, Rowie, Rowie. I was like a rock star. The challenge comes, though, when there's 99 people that love you and one person that hates you. What happens then? What do you focus on? When you've got great self-esteem, it's exactly the opposite. 99 people can hate you, and you don't care. I'll give you another definition of self-esteem. Have you ever walked into a room with a group of people that you don't know and you felt uncomfortable? And often, if the status of the people in the room, and the word status I've used for a reason, is that we create that in our own mind. Because we think that people are more important than us, so we allow them to intimidate us. Nobody can intimidate you without your permission. But if you walk into a room, let's say it's full of rock stars, movie stars, politicians and billionaires, high self-esteem, you would feel comfortable. And I hate using the word comfortable, you know that. I hate that word. But in this case scenario, this is exactly the right word for it. Because when you've got great self-esteem, you feel comfortable around everybody. Because you get this great philosophy in it. Again, I would write this down. You understand, when you've got great self-esteem, you understand that there will always be people better than you, and there will always be people who aren't as good as you. And it doesn't matter. Because what you're looking for is the strengths in everybody, not the weaknesses. When you've got low self-esteem, what are you looking for?
Negatives.
People's faults. And guess what you'll find? Lots of them. I was really privileged, and this is why I'm sharing this stuff with you guys tonight, because it's not my stuff. Someone just gave it to me as a gift, and I wanted to share it with you. And the main reason for tonight, by the way, is about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was with a group of dentists, 22 of them, and they were having some challenges with their team, and they said, could you please come in and chat to our team about self-esteem? And as I was sharing it with the dentists, I thought, my students deserve to have this stuff. This is great stuff. So that's why we're here tonight.
Cool.
My pleasure. Imagine understanding and feeling really great with this philosophy. Nobody's better than me, and nobody's worse than me. Everybody's got strengths. Another way to look at it is this way. There will always be people who outshine me, and there will always be people who I outshine, if you focus on one strength. But have you ever been in a situation where you're really good at something and somebody isn't, and then that situation gets reversed? So you might be really, I have no challenge chatting in public. Sit me down with a computer expert and I feel like an absolute idiot, because they seem so smart. Is it that they're smarter than me? We just have different strengths. What a great place to be. There's nobody better than me, nobody worse than me. We're all the same. We've just got to find the strengths. So, action plan. Everybody stand up. How are you? It goes like this. I'm not a talker, I'm a doer. 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 What am I? Say it out loud. I'm not a talker, I'm a doer. I'm not a talker, I'm a doer. I'm not a talker, I'm a doer. Beautiful. Have a seat. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? More importantly, right at this minute, is what we're not going to do. Orthodox psychology, and some of you have done this with me before, but it's a bit like that great story. Sometimes you have to hear things more than once or twice to get it. Orthodox psychology says if you think about things differently, if you think about having a better life, if you think about how successful you're going to be, if you think positive thoughts all the time, you will realise that you've got more potential. That makes logical sense, doesn't it? Before we go any further, hands up who thinks they're not using all their potential right now. All of us. We've got loads more potential. What that means is we've all got engines, and even if you've got so you think you've got a 2-cylinder lawnmower engine, we could turbocharge it, couldn't we? And it would go faster. Even if you've got a jet engine, we could put super fuel in there and it would go faster. So we've all got more potential than what we're using. The challenge is that we're not putting our foot on the accelerator. And what do you call that when you fly a plane? That thing. What's that thing? The throttle. So if we've got a jet engine, we have to pull the throttle harder. That's called what? Because I'm not a talker, I'm a doer. How's it go? I'm not a talker, I'm a doer. I'm not a talker, I'm a doer. If I take action, now this is the law of the universe. For the scientists in the room, please say this out really loud. For every action I take, there is a reaction. Something will happen. I like that better. Yeah. If I do something, something will happen. Simple terminology. Scientists say it a bit differently. But the rule of the universe says, if I take an action, something will happen. In normal words, we call that a result. Yeah? What we're just doing now is just basic psychology, but what's important, remember the gun to your head? I want you to learn it so well that you can teach it to somebody else. With your clients, when your clients get this, it'll be a wow experience. So, normal psychology says, if you think differently, you'll realise you've got more potential. So if you think positively, you'll realise how much potential you've got. Interestingly, who's got more potential than they're using at the moment? Oh, we all have. So they then suggest that if you realise you've got more potential, you're more likely to take action. Sounds logical. And the law of the universe says if you take action, what will happen? You'll get a result. And here's the challenge. If I get a positive result, what will happen to the way I think? For most people, I'll think more positively. Uh-oh. What if I get a negative result? For most people, what will happen to the way I think? Bow, bow. So we're relying here on the outcome being negative or positive. This is the big bang theory for this evening. You ready? How many times have you heard this at the Max College? Be before you are and you will become. How many times have you heard that? If you want to be a millionaire, dress like one first, act like one, speak like one. If you want to be a successful fitness professional, act like one, speak like one, before you become one, and you become one quicker. So this little action plan we're going to put into place, because I'm not a talker, I'm a doer. How's it go? The action plan we're going to put into place, here's the first one. Action plan, not talk, do. Every time you have the opportunity now to decide whether something is bad or good. It's a bit like food. Remember when we chatted about food, those of you that came to my session on nutrition? There are no good or bad foods on the amount that you eat. There's no good or bad foods. Broccoli, 2 kilos of broccoli, not good. It's very healthy, broccoli, but you eat 2 kilos, not good. 2 kilos of chocolate naughty, not good. A small amount, good. 2 kilos, not good. If the first thing, action plan we do tonight is there's no positive or negative result. It's just called a result. Just say that to yourself. This is a result. How's it go? This is a result. Because often we say, I took this action, I made a bad decision. There's no good or bad decisions, there's just a decision. When you take an action, you get a result. What's it called? A result. And if it's what we would term a positive result, like 5 people tell us how good we look today, or we get a pay rise, or we win a house, that's called a positive result from buying our ticket at the Lifesavers, the action. If we look at everything positively, then we're headed for a big downhill, because is life always positive? So what's the 3 questions you ask when what some people would term a negative happens? You would say, this is fantastic, I'm under pressure. What is produced under pressure? So you say to yourself, I'm currently becoming a diamond. What can I learn from this? How can I? And how will this stretch me? So there's no positive or negative results now. There's just up results that will help me learn, grow, stretch, become a diamond. But this has to be an action. This won't fall out of the sky in a pink box and happen automatically. You have to make it happen. When something that you would normally call bad happens to you, what have you got to say? Awesome! I'm under pressure. Diamonds are produced under pressure. What will I learn from this? How will I grow and how will this stretch me? It just becomes a system. You know when you brush your teeth, you take the toothbrush out, you put the toothpaste on and you brush your teeth? We've all got a bit of a system, the way we do that. We've all got a bit of a system, the way we wash our hair, the way we put product in our hair. We've all got a bit of a system, the way we pull our cereal in our bowl. That's what this has got to be. A little system. See, the smart people in the room are going, can't be that easy. Guess what? If you say to yourself, it can't be done, you're going to then say to yourself, let's have a go at it anyway and see what happens. See, when I type in the words into my Google search engine, how can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How will it stretch me? What will your Google search engine now put into your brain?
Solutions.
Solutions. Awesome. Your brain, all by itself, will give you the answers. It'll say, well, this is how you can grow from it, and this is how you can learn from it, and this is how it's going to stretch you. And isn't it fantastic that you're under pressure? Because diamonds are produced under pressure. Who controls all of that? So somebody does horrible things to you. You could say that's a terrible thing. Someone scratches your car. You go out to your car. Dottie was classic last night. May we all be in this place. One of our team players in Brisbane, somebody spat on their car. And Dottie said, I wish I had a car that somebody wanted to spit on. Because do people spit on ugly cars? No. Only spit on nice ones. See, that's a really self-esteem response. Now, I'd like to see him do that if somebody spat on his car, because it wasn't his car that got spat on. I believe that that's called a system. When somebody spits on your car, you're going to say, how can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? And how will it stretch me? It's called a little system. You could do this. Swear, carry on, hit someone, yell. Now who's in control of your day? Not you. The spitter now has control of your life. Wouldn't that be embarrassing? The person who wanted to make you angry has done exactly what they planned, and you sucked it in hook, line and sinker. Isn't that? I would find that embarrassing. So what's the system? When something that you would normally think is a bad thing, you say, excellent, I'm a diamond, under pressure, how will I grow, and how will this stretch me? What I'd like to do tonight is take these two out. Because we think too much. Your clients will think too much. It goes like this. I think it's 6 o'clock in the morning. I think I should do some exercise. I've had this great thought that it'd be a really good idea, I think, to get up and do some exercise. Who's ever been in that situation? Thought to yourself in the morning, I think I should do some exercise. Do you know that you've got the potential to get up and do some? Yes or no? Yes. And do you have more potential than you even believe you've got to do some exercise? Yes. The reason we know that is if a guy's in the gym and he thinks he can't lift any more weight on the bench press and a good-looking girl walks past, what happens? He's got more potential in there, hasn't he? So we've all got more. So we've all spent time sitting and thinking, what if you didn't, in the morning, you woke up, what did you do? You just got up, went for a run, got up, went for a swim, got up and did some exercise. Didn't think about it, just did it. Oh, great system. Now what happens? I've taken an action. What will happen? Now, some of you have heard this before. I was at a conference sharing this exact information, and there was a very interesting fellow who said this. You ready? Yeah, but you could get a negative result from your exercise. You could get injured. No, I said to myself, how can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? And how will this stretch me? Now, there's a couple of things, because Woody's here tonight, so it's a classic. There's 2 examples I want to share with you from this, and please use them with your clients, very important. Dr. Ohmsen 6 years medical doctor, and then 5 years specialising in sports medicine. Shared this with my mother, and it was the best example I've ever heard of this before. A general practitioner had told my mother that she shouldn't do any exercise anymore because she could get injured. Too old, could get injured. You've hurt your back, it's terrible. Dr. Anderson did this fantastic thing. He just did these two lines here, 0 to 100% and 0 to 100%. He said, Mudgy, if you don't do any exercise and you don't lift weights and you don't box, on a 0 to 100% scale of dying very soon, there's a 100% chance. If you stop exercising, stop lifting weights and stop boxing, there's a 100% chance that you will die very soon. There's also, on a 0 to 100 scale, probably for an 84-year-old lady or whatever she was at the time, there's probably a 50% chance that you'll get injured. Which odds do you prefer? Hey, yesterday in Brisbane, one of our she's one of our little tiny students, dropped a 20-kilogram weight on her toe. Bang! It's called an accident. Here's what negative people would say. Oh, I can't go to the gym, it's dangerous. Weights can fall off the machines and drop on your toes and break them. Don't go to the gym, it's dangerous. Yes or no?
No.
I'll give you one to think about, controversial. Right now there's a flu going around. First of all, who gets flu? If your immune system's not very strong, how come there's so many people breathing the same air, and based on the number of people that are breathing that same air, the number of people that have the flu is a very small percentage, yes or no? Yeah. So there's lots of people have been cancelling their holidays because what if I get a flu? What if I get a flu? Imagine living your life like that. What if I walk downstairs, I could get hit by a bus? Yes, you could. When you go for a run, you could fall over. When you go in the gym, you could sprain your shoulder. When you go out on your push bike, a magpie could hit you in the head, peck you in the head and knock you off your bike and knock you unconscious, and you could end up in hospital. Yes or no? Of course. Imagine focusing on that stuff. I did share with that lovely man who said that to me in the conference a particularly cool story. Some of you have heard this before. Kerry and I were in Rome. Who's been to Rome? How good was Rome? Like, it's the most amazing city. We're running in the morning around the Colosseum. We've taken the action, to run. I do a big trip over on the cobblestones, and I take skin off my chin, skin off my hands, skin off my knees, blood's coming off me. People are taking pictures of me because I'm a Christian bleeding at the Colosseum. Kerry says, do you want to stop running? I said, no, because you know what happens when you've hurt yourself and you stop and you cool down, then it hurts more. So we run back to our hotel, and then I look at myself and I go, oh, wow, look at this. So we take photos. Now, there's several cool things happening here. The cool thing is that when we show those photos to people, it looks awesome. It's like Funniest Home Videos. When something yucky happens to someone else, it's funny, isn't it? So people look at my photo and they laugh, which means I'm creating humour for other people, which is great. But the second thing is, if you look closely at the palms of my hands and my knees, I have Rome scars. Who can say that they've got Rome scars? Hey! See, that's called a result. Some people would look at it as a negative result. How do you learn, grow and stretch from that? You don't even need to take that from that. Will you heal if you fall over and cut yourself? Of course. So every action, there will be a result. Here's the action. We're now going to look at the bit of the negative side. Everybody stand up. How's that little dance go? I'm not a talker, I'm a doer, but the brain doesn't like the word not, so we're going to cut out the first bit and just say, I'm a doer. Go. I'm a doer. Uppercuts. Go. I'm a doer. I'm a doer. Uppercuts. I'm a doer. I'm a doer. Loud and strong. I'm a doer. I'm a doer. I need to hear the New Zealanders in the room. We're going to sound a bit like a hugger. I want it to come from inside your chest. Go. I'm a doer. Go. I'm a doer. Again. I'm a doer. Some of you are not even moving. Go. I'm a doer. Have a seat. Why would I get you to do that? Why would I get you to get up and make noise and tell yourself stuff like that? We've just typed into your Google, I'm a doer. And now all these automatically now, whether you realise it or not, your brain is now feeding into your subconscious brain is feeding into your conscious brain all the reasons why you're not a procrastinator, why you're not just a person who talks, but why you're a person that does stuff. Isn't that exciting? That's why, see, affirmations without discipline is delusion. Do you like that? James Rowan says that. Affirmation without discipline is delusion. You can't get up in the morning and go, I can lift 100 pounds, I can lift 100 pounds. What have you got to do? You have to go to the gym and lift the weights, otherwise you won't be able to do it. But you do have to believe that you can do it. That's where the talking comes from. So this part of the action plan is to remove the negatives. Because I'm going to give you a quick checklist of things that, if you keep them in your life, you will be unable to put your foot on the accelerator. What's another word for self-esteem, do you think? It starts with same. Self-respect. For my Christian people in the room, there's a beautiful rule in the Bible that says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Rich said to me the other day, what does unto mean? I said, it's just a religious word. It's treat people nicely. It's a great rule. But it's also a very selfish rule, because it should go like this. And I'm not trying to change the Bible, please don't get me wrong. I believe it should go like this. Do unto others as they would like done unto them. Don't treat people the way you would like to be treated. Treat people the way they would like to be treated. Does that make sense? Yeah. When we talk about self-respect, that's respecting yourself. Easy. What would be a great way to build your self-respect, which is also your self-esteem? Treat other people with respect. If you're treating other people disrespectfully, would it be possible to treat yourself with respect? No. Because what kind of person is disrespectful to other people? A disrespectful person. So we're going to have a look at some of the things that will hold you back from putting your foot on the accelerator. We'll get rid of them quickly because they're really ugly. First one's gossip. If you tell nasty stories about people that you've got no right to tell. Respectful to other people, but more disrespectful to yourself. Here's the system for it. It goes like this. Somebody comes to gossip to you. You've got to put your hand up like that and say, stop. Look them in the eye and say, stop. If you're prepared to gossip to me, it means you're prepared to gossip about me, and that makes you a gossip. Go away. How many more times do you think that person would ever dare come to you with a piece of gossip? They'd probably talk about you instead, and how good's that? What would that do for your self-respect? Versus somebody says to you, did you hear that Rachel's sleeping with Dottie? Did you hear that? And you lean forward and go, really? So when you lean forward, you are disrespecting the person that's being gossiped about. You wouldn't like somebody to do it to you. How does it go? Stop. If you're prepared to gossip to me, that means you're prepared to gossip about me. That makes your gossip go away. People might not like you, but what's the definition of self-esteem? Putting your foot on the accelerator and not caring what other people think. If you lean forward and listen to the gossip, will that help you put your foot on the accelerator to drive forward? I think not. Just remove it. Just part of your action plan. I don't gossip. I'm not a gossip. There you go. Just say that to yourself. Write it down. I don't gossip. I'm not a gossip. Next, criticism. What kind of self-respecting person would criticise somebody else? It's a quick way to find if somebody's got poor self-esteem, because they'll be criticising other people to you. Please also know that if they're prepared to criticise other people to you, another business, another trainer, another person, guess what? Will happen when you're not there. If you criticise other people, whether this person is your friend or not, they will now know that they can't trust you when they're not there, because you criticise other people behind their back, so you'll probably criticise that person. If you've got something to say to somebody, go directly to them and say, I need to share this with you. But criticising people behind their back, will it allow you to put your foot on the accelerator and go forward? It'll hold you back. So just say, I don't criticise. How about this one? The mums in the room are going to love me for this one. If you take your dishes, glass, cup, plate, and you put them in the sink, or put them on the table, and you go off to work, or off to the gym, or off to do your thing, will those dishes magically get washed all by themselves? If you take your dirty clothes off and put them on the floor, will they automatically, you know, the little leprechaun from Ireland comes and washes them, folds them up, puts them back in the cupboard? No, no, no. Somebody else will have to clean up after you, because they can't stay there. You can't leave the dirty dishes in the sink. They'll get smelly, mouldy, dirty, yucky. Somebody will have to clean them up. And you know, here at Max, it'll be Rachel, Lottie, or Sparkly. When we get to the very end of the day and we close up the college, if the dishes in the sink, they don't stay there, somebody will have to clean them up. Is that respectful or disrespectful? Disrespectful. I'm going to tell you a really horrible story to get a point across. I was in the toilet at Melbourne Airport yesterday, the day before, and I went into the ladies' toilet, and there's about, I don't know how many, 8, 10, a line of toilets, and it's really smelly in there. And every toilet I went to had brown poo in it, of all different shapes and sizes. I'm telling you this story because it's really important. What I found really interesting is that every bathroom, every toilet cubicle that I went into, the button worked. A couple of them you had to fiddle around a little bit to find it. Is that respectful or disrespectful? That is disrespectful. Somebody has to clean that up. That can't stay that way. For those of you who are used to this expression at Max, we call that not leaving a profit. That's called being a pig. And I'm sharing that story with you because we're all laughing at it, but every single one of us in our lives have done that. Every time you walk past a table in the food court that's got stuff all over it, someone's got to clean that up. Do you know what I hear people say? Oh, but the cleaning lady wouldn't have a job. Where do you think that attitude's going to get you? So first on the list is remove gossip. It stops you from going forward. Remove criticism. It stops you from going forward. Remove the things that are considered disrespectful, because they'll hold you back. The next one's really controversial. You ready? If I asked you today, when you applied for a position, that even if it's a lousy, stinky, horrible job that you don't like, on your resume, did you write on there that you were dishonest and you were a thief? Did anybody put that on their resume? Anybody that's got a resume or a CV right now, did you write on there, I'm dishonest, I'm a thief? Did anybody do that? Now that would depend on your definition of being a thief and being dishonest. But people have lied on their CVs and their resumes. If you are being paid to be at work and you clear your private emails, what's that called?
Stealing.
It's called stealing. It's not your time. If you're Facebooking and Twittering and MySpacing to your friends when you're at work, what's that called? It's called stealing. I'm going to get a little bit harder. Last night one of my students offered to copy a CD for me. Poor little thing, he's got a really sore bottom today because I kicked it really hard. Here's a question I asked. Bryan Adams is one of my favourite, and most of you won't know who that is because he's a little bit more mature. But Bryan Adams is one of my favourite performers, and my student said to me, would you like me to, he was playing the music, he said, would you like me to burn you a copy of this CD? And I said, would you do that if Bryan Adams was standing next to you? He's a performer who's produced this beautiful music. Would you steal his music if he was standing next to you? Because here's a great way to judge it. Gossip. Would you be prepared to say what you're about to say if the person you're talking about was standing next to you? That's the judge of that particular statement. If the criticism about such and such business, people say, oh, I heard a guy on the phone the other day at the airport, he said, oh, I hate Virgin, I just hate them, they're terrible. And mind you, he was telling everybody quite loudly. I wondered if Richard Branson was standing right there next to him, if he would say exactly the same thing. And that's the judge. If you're prepared to do that, that's a different story. But stealing what somebody else has done, here's another really controversial one. Anything that's fake designer. I know it's really cool to go to Bali and buy fake things. But if you were the Italian designer who with your heart, soul and passion produced a handbag and hand-sewed it, and if you've ever been to Italy and chatted with the people personally who make things, if you've ever imagine the opportunity of shaking hands with Giorgio Armani, who makes the most beautiful suits for men and women. Imagine how you would feel if you had created that beautiful thing and somebody copied it and sold it for $5 at the markets. It's called stealing. It's called disrespectful. And the next question is, if you're wearing something that is a copy, that make you feel really good about yourself or not so good? And you can say, oh, but I really like it, but subconsciously what will you be telling yourself? This is a fake. This is a fake. That means I'm stealing. Last but not least, because this one's really controversial, you ever stood in the supermarket and read a magazine while you've been waiting? I used to, until I started producing a gloss magazine. Because the person that created that magazine put their heart and soul into it. They put their passion into it. And they put a price on that magazine. And if you stand in the supermarket line and read it and then put it back without buying it, what's that called? Stealing. It's called stealing. I'm not apologising for being confrontational. I just want you to have a think about what might be holding you back. Because whether consciously or subconsciously, if you are a thief, if you are dishonest,
You're going to pull it back in.
and how are you going to sleep? When you're really successful, you're only going to get 2 or 3 hours. So you want to be deep sleeping real quick. You don't want to be doing dishonest things. So just have a quick look at that list and say to yourself, my action plan for getting rid of those things. Because remember, for every action there is a... For every time you steal email time, you steal Twitter time, you steal off a designer, you pirate copy a video, there is a result that comes from that. Every time you plant a seed, you don't expect to get the seed back, do you? If you're a gardener or a farmer, when you plant a seed, what do you expect to get back? A crop. Quick take note. When you plant a seed, positive or negative, you get more than 10 times back. Could be 100 times, could be 1,000 times. So for every positive thing that you do, guess what comes back at you? 10, 100, 1,000 positive things come back at you. Isn't that exciting? Just say, yes, Rowie, that's exciting. Yes, bow, bow. For every lousy, rotten, horrible thing that you do to somebody or something, every time you don't bother to flush the toilet, every time you leave your dishes in the sink, every time you steal something, that doesn't just come back at you one time. Whether you believe in karma or not, that's called planting a seed. And nobody might poo in your toilet, but it will come back at you another way. And the worst way is it holds you back from being successful because it stops you from believing that you're a great person. Because great people don't do stuff like that. Does that make sense? So, is that a good action plan? Yeah. Just remove those things. Next action plan. Most of you have done this. Interestingly, though, I found last night in Brizzy that even though it was suggested as a great idea, and it's a really easy thing to do, lots of people didn't do it. And it doesn't bother me and doesn't make me cranky, because I know why. Because this simple little activity, if you do it, it will put your foot on the accelerator and your life will explode. And that means that people won't like you. And that's scary. Simple activity. Put your hand up, the hand up that you would, if you were to pick up a tennis racket, a toothbrush, a cup of coffee, or shake hands with somebody. Put your hand up. Which hand would it be? Play golf with? That's what you do on that hand. Yes, that's what you do stuff with. On this hand is the person you are. And those of you who've done the activity, it'll be really simple. All you're going to do now is pick the 5 words to describe you, and you're going to connect them to each finger. So the 1 word to your thumb, 1 word to your pointy finger, 1 word to your middle finger, 1 word to your ring finger, and 1 word to your pinky finger. Some of you have heard this before and going, oh yeah, I remember, but I forgot. For those of you who have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, what I would like you to think about is 5 words to describe you as a super successful person. So if I had an 8 by 10 photograph of you and I took it to all the people that you respect or the people that you want to respect you, and I said, please describe this person for me, they would give me 5 words to describe you as a person. So 5 positive, strong, powerful words. They're fit, they're strong, they're loyal, they're honest, they're happy, they're positive, they're successful, they're professional, they're hot. They're gorgeous, they're funny, they're positive, sophisticated, classy, stylish. 5 words to describe you as a person. If you haven't done it, do it now. And when you've got some more time, you might take a little bit longer to do it. But think about, usually the ones that come straight off the top of your head are the best ones. How do you want people to know you? What's your reputation going to be? Integrity, loyalty, honesty. How about this one? Something gets stolen at your business or your work. Someone steals $5,000. And the boss looks at you and says, it wasn't Andy. Because Andy's honest. He would never steal money. Isn't that a great reputation? There's a horrible gossip going around at work. And the boss says, it was not Rachel. Rachel does not gossip. It was not her that spread that story. Great reputation. It's not caring what other people think. It's what you are known for. 5 words. Then what you do is, then none of them are more important than the other. So it's not like this is the most important one and this is the least important one. They're all as important as the others. What you're going to do now, though, is connect them. In neuro-linguistic programming, this is called anchoring. Do you like that? That came out smoothly, didn't it? Neuro-linguistic programming. What it simply means is that you've now got something to think about, that you don't have to have a pen and paper or a book or a CD. It's connected to your hand. That's easy, yep? So when you look down at your hand, that's who I am. This is what I do on this hand. This is who I am. Some of you have done this. You're going, I wish I remembered that she told us to do this. On your thumb, pick a word. It could be the fattest word. It could be the shortest word. It could be the most powerful word. But connect it to your thumb, and as you're saying it to yourself, hold your thumb. So if you want to be known as honest, just say to yourself, honest, 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 and grab hold of your thumb. Physically touch it, hold it. It's called an activity. The smart people in the room are going, this won't work, it's too easy. And you're going to say, let's have a go at it anyway. Pointy finger. Could be something to do with direction, could be something to do with the future. It could be the longest word. Doesn't matter, then none of them are more important than the other ones. This is called how do I remember it quickly. So grab hold of your pointy finger and connect one of those words to your pointy finger. Say it to yourself. Say it to yourself. For those of you who have put this activity into your life, it's quite phenomenal what happens. It's called goal setting on core values. So you remember it. Stick up your middle finger. Find a word to connect to that one. Now the word that I've got on my middle finger is stylish, and I use that for a reason, because that's not very stylish. So it helps me remember. So pick a word that's either the longest word, the most confronting word, the most powerful word. I'll show you what Huge does, because it's quite funny. He goes like this. I'm successful! Don't you love that? Something like that. Grab hold of it, squeeze it, say the word. Wrong word to put on that finger. Wrong word to put on that finger. Now, your ring finger will be a word that's to do with commitment or loyalty or the future or relationships, something that's really important to you or something that rounds you, because that's your ring finger. So think of the word that's going to go there. And then your pinky finger could be the smallest word. One of my students last night, he said, one of his things was to be known as a great father. So that was for his children. His pinky finger was so that his reputation is, I'm a great dad. So if you go to the service station and we show the photo, they say, that's Brad, and he's such a great dad. When he brings his kids in here, he's just obviously a great dad. We've all seen the opposite to that, haven't we? He wants to be known as a great dad. So when he grabs hold of that finger now, what's he thinking?
I'm a great dad.
I'm a great dad. If his kids are screaming, he wants to give them a bit of a hoik about, what's he going to do? Grab hold of his little finger and say, I'm a great dad. It's called, I've got who I am in control, my control in the palm of my hand. That feels good. Smart people in the room are going, oh, it can't be that easy. What are you going to say? Have a go at it anyway. Now, the beautiful thing is you take the hand with you everywhere, don't you? Yes or no? Yes. So if you're about to clear your private emails at work and one of your words is honest, as you're typing with your pointy finger, that will be a very nice reminder about how honest you're being right now. Yes or no? Yes. It's great exercise. Very powerful exercise. Now what's going to happen is that's who you are. Now put the hand up that you do stuff with. That's what you do. Clap them together hard. When who you are and what you do become exactly the same thing, what happens to your self-esteem, do you think? Wow. Turbocharge. Now the simple act goes like that. Have a look at that hand, grab hold of your thumb and just jog on the spot. Say it 5 times. Say that word 5 times. Say it softly because everybody's got a different word. No, bugger it. Say it loud. Go. Pointy finger. Grab hold of your finger and say it 5 times. Say it out loud. Grab your middle finger. Go. Say it 5 times. Go. Sorry. Ring finger. Grab hold of it. Say the word 5 times. Jump on the spot. And your pinky finger. 5 times. Say the word. Jump on the spot. Beautiful. Have a seat. Action plan number 1 was to remove the negatives, yes? Get rid of the gossip and the criticising. Number 2, who you are and what you do become exactly the same thing. Powerful little exercise. This is who I am, this is what I do, clap them together. I know that you've heard this quote before, but just have a think about it, how logical it is. How do you run a marathon? 1 step at a time. Can you do 23 steps at a time? Some people in the room are saying, I want to turbocharge my self-esteem. I'm going to do 23 steps at a time. Just the one. How do you eat an elephant? 1 mouthful at a time. Those 5 things, if that's not who you are yet, but you've got 5 words that you want to become. How many times have you heard this? Be before you are, and you will become. What if every day you just got 1% better at each one of those? Overall, how would you improve every day? By 5%. How many days in a week? Every week, 35% better your whole life. Based on 1 every day. Interesting. For me, this is discipline, this finger. If you ever think about getting up in the morning and not doing some exercise, all you've got to do is look at your little finger. The word's discipline. What kind of person doesn't go for a run in the morning? Not a disciplined one. So it's easy, because who you are and what you do become exactly the same thing. After you've been for a run, how do you feel about yourself? Just say, great, Rowie! single day you did one little thing to get better in each one of those areas, I'll just do the numbers for you. That's 5% better every day. How many days in the week?
7.
That's 35% better in a week. Let's say it's February and there's only 28 days in the month. You see how quickly life becomes better just by little action plan, little tiny things every single day. So the second one is, I'll just write hand here. Does everybody know what that means? 5 words on your hand. Action plan number 3. Who's into action?
Me.
Say it to yourself.
I'm in action. Action.
I'm a doer. Go, uppercuts. I'm a doer. Go, I'm a doer. And again, I'm a doer. I'm a doer. And again, I'm a doer. Nice. Why do we say that to ourselves? Google. In we go. Action plan 3. And this is very entertaining because tonight my mother is here and she's the classic example for this one. What kind of towels do you use? Sheets do you sleep on? Glasses do you drink out of? Plates do you eat off? And cutlery do you use? It's a simple little action plan. My gorgeous mother, my whole life, every time somebody bought her something, she would pop it in the cupboard and say, I'll keep it for good. Or, don't use those, they're for visitors. What are you telling yourself? Every time you're not good enough to use it, we're keeping it for the visitors. What are you saying to your self-esteem?
Better than me.
Somebody's better than me. Remember the definition before of self-esteem? Nobody's better than me, nobody's worse than me. We're all as important as each other. If you ever think, oh, I won't wear those shoes today, I'll keep those for good. It means good. My mum's 86. It's time to start using the good stuff. Think about it. One Sheridan towel versus a $9.99 one that gets scratchy in about 2 weeks. This beautiful body that you've got, the one that you look in the mirror in the morning and you say, I look good. What kind of underwear deserves to be on that body? This body is too hot for undies. Get rid of those. How many people, though, go to their undie drawer? They shouldn't even be in there, those daggy old undies with holes in them, stretchy ones. But what are you telling yourself when you take a daggy old pair of ripped up holy undies and put them on your body? Subconsciously, what are you saying to yourself? I'm not good enough to wear the good stuff. Get a pair of holy socks and put them on your feet. What are you telling? These feet have got to carry you around the whole day. What hope have those little puppies got when you put daggy old socks on them? How about this? Oh, I'll just buy this, it doesn't matter. It's just a cheap thing. As soon as you say the word cheap and you put it on your body, what happens? Subconsciously it becomes cheap. How many of you, again, just tell the truth, you don't have to tell it to me, but tell it to yourself, because I've been here. I remember the first time we went to Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills, I didn't go into any shops, I was too scared. I remember taking Dottie to Versace the first time. I wasn't with him, but can you imagine? Big, tall Dottie. Hands in his pockets, don't want to break anything. Last time we went down there, I mentioned my tall friend. Oh, Dottie! How do you get comfortable going into intimidating places? How do you get comfortable? Here's another one. It was an indie weekend and Hugh was with us, and there was an open house at an apartment on the Surfers Paradise Parade, and it was a penthouse apartment, and at the time about $2.5 million, which I'm going to say maybe 5-6 years ago was a nice place. And we saw the open house sign, and Kerry and I said, let's go in. Hugh and Paulie, who was one of our coaches at the time, they said, oh no, we won't go. Why? Not good enough to even look at a $2.5 million property. I promise you that the real estate agent that was selling us that property didn't and couldn't afford to buy that property. So they're no better than you. And I promise you that the person that does have the money to sell you a $2.5 million property wouldn't care what you look like, because they're so proud of what they've done. What I'm asking you to do now is make yourself a little bit uncomfortable to start realising how valuable you are. At Max, you've probably heard about designer clothes and nice pens and nice shoes and all that stuff. What you need to understand is the reason why we want you to do that. It's got nothing to do with having a nice pen. It's a difference between knowing that there's a big pen versus a Mont Blanc pen. What are you saying to yourself when you're using a beautiful pen?
I'm beautiful.
Doesn't matter what other people think, and I promise you that most people won't know what that pen is anyway. But who will know? You will know. Blake had a very classic example of going into some shops and supposedly getting treated badly, intimidated by people in designer shops. If you go into a designer shop with a big happy smiley face and say, "Hi, how are you? Tell me about you," and build relationships with people, you'll be surprised how quickly they know you by your first name and say, "Oh, we love it when Didi comes here. He's our best friend." The last time we went to Rodeo Drive, which was about a year ago, we walked into Versace, the one that you always see on TV in that little arcade thing on Rodeo Drive, and my good friend who works in Versace on Rodeo Drive races down the stairs and says, "Rowena and Kerry from Australia, how are you?" It's just called building relationships. Why this is so important is you deserve the best. Every time you use something that is cheap, because what's the word that goes with cheap? Nasty. If you use a plastic plate and you've got the opportunity to use a beautiful plate, you're telling yourself you're not good enough. How about this one? I had a female client. We're on the chin-ups. We're doing chin-ups. She's got prickly legs. So what's with the legs? She said, "It's winter and I haven't got a boyfriend. It doesn't matter." So that means that when she is shaving her legs, who's it for?
Someone else.
Not for herself. She's telling herself that she's not important enough to shave her legs for. Only when a bloke comes along is it important to shave her legs. Oh, just to the flip side of that, if you get dressed up to go out, ladies, if you put makeup on to go out, but not when you're at home, what does that say?
Do it for someone else.
I'm doing this for somebody else. Remember when Kerry and I first got together, I got up in the morning, had a shower, put my makeup on, put nice clothes on, and he said to me, "You don't have to do that for me." I said, "Mate, this isn't for you." It's got nothing to do with you. I get dressed up because I want to feel good about me, not because I care what you think. I have somebody important in my life who's part of my family whose partner has never seen her without her makeup on. She gets out of bed in the morning, puts her makeup on because she doesn't want him to see her without it. What does that say? Not judgmental. I just want you to think about, do your life for you. Do the things that will make you feel good. For an exercise, because this is an action plan, even if it's extremely uncomfortable, please go and view a $10 million property. When one comes up on Hedges or at Sovereign Island, just go look at it. Even if you don't believe that you'll ever be able to afford it, just go there and have a look. You've heard this expression, see how the other half lives? It isn't the other half. It's not half the people that live like that. It's only about 5%. So the question then is, what do I have to do to be in that 5%? How organised do I have to become? What do I have to do with my self-esteem? But unless you have a feel for it and have a look for it. How many of you have got a dream car but you haven't test-driven it? All you've got to do is ask Kerry and I and we'll take you. You might have to sit in the car with us because they might not let you drive it. And you know, a smart real estate agent will realise that in 5, 6, 10 years' time, with the right goal setting, you'll be able to afford it. Same with the car. The right person will do it for you. And if they don't, feel sorry for them because obviously their self-esteem's a little bit low. Go and try, ladies, a $10,000 dress. If you just said then, "But that's ridiculous, why would you spend $10,000 on a dress?" What did you just tell yourself? I'm not worth $10,000. I don't care if you don't buy the dress, I just want you to get a feel for it. I don't care if you give the money to charity, that's even better. But get a feel for. Little action plan, things that you haven't done yet. Test drive a car, have a look at a big property, go and try on some beautiful clothes. I was in Bulgari in Sydney, and they've got this diamond, perfect cut 7 carat or something. It was $1.5 million for a diamond, one diamond. Very smart lady in Bulgari though. Rowie, come and try this on. You've got to do that one time and have $1.5 million on your hand. You've got to do that one time. Because why do they make such a ring? Someone can afford it. Which means what did that person have to do differently to be able to do that? Do that one time. Just give yourself 3 things you're going to do that you haven't done before. Action plan. It's called an action plan. Smart people are going, can't be that easy. Who's seen $1 million in cash? Physically seen it? A couple of people? Who thinks it's a large amount of money? Go to the bank and organise to view $1 million cash.
Really? I'll do that.
Of course. Mummy, can you come with me, please? Because in our minds, a lot of people write down, I want to be a millionaire, but you've got to physically see that amount of money to realise it's not that much money. I learned that really early, and I think it was my dad that taught me this. I can't remember exactly. It goes like this. Find something worth $1 that 1 million people want and sell it to them for $2 and you'll be a millionaire. Simple. Find something that costs $1 that 1 million people want to buy and sell it to them for $2. Plenty of people have that philosophy, by the way, and that's how they become millionaires. But if you've never seen the money, how would you know? Every goal that you've ever had, you've got to go see it, touch it, smell it, taste it. Remember the first time we went to Versace, and it's been open for a while now. We had no money, and I'm smarty me. I go to Versace with some people, and I said, I'll get the drinks. The bill came out, and I looked at it and I said to myself, we didn't eat anything. We just had 5 drinks. It was like nearly $100 for 5 drinks. Changed my life that day though, because I looked around me and there was nobody else looking at the bill going, we didn't eat anything. So I thought to myself that day, what do I have to do to be in this circle of influence so that that's not a challenge? Just pop yourself in there. Great action plan? Yes, no?
Yes.
Simple, easy one? Yes, no?
Yes.
Last one. What do we call this one? Out of comfort zone experience. Would that be good? Yeah, stretch. This one's so simple. We're about to finish. This one is so simple that it's embarrassingly simple. But if there was more I could give you that you're going to give to your clients, that will accelerate, turbocharge their self-esteem. Definition quickly of self-esteem again. What is it? An accelerator. And drive fast, don't care what other people think. Drop the baggage off. No brakes. Great idea. Just disengage the brakes. Everybody stand up. Uppercuts, 10 fast ones. I'm a doer. Some of you had to tell the truth in advance, but some of you are looking at that list going, I'm never going to do that. By the way, it doesn't matter to me. All I'm asking you to do is if something's been holding you back and you haven't achieved your goals, there's a reason. Have a go. How's it go? I'm a doer.
Yeah, baby.
Have a seat. If you set a goal, if you make a commitment and you stick to it, how do you feel? Everybody answer the question. How do you feel? You make a commitment to run 5 kilometres and you do. How do you feel? You make a commitment to spend time with your kids and you do. How do you feel? You make a commitment to make your bed every day and you do. How do you feel? Something as simple as that. You make a commitment to clean out your cupboard and you do. How do you feel when you've cleaned out your cupboard? Even if you procrastinated doing it for 6 months, when you finally clean out your cupboard, how do you feel? Feel good, don't you? So, when you do stuff, you feel good. The challenge we've got are the folks that do stuff so they can tell other people that they've done stuff. If you're the person that has to tell everybody to make you the centre of attention or make you feel good, that's a tick box. Put that in the negative box at the top there. Remember the gossip, criticise, talk too much, that box? Put yourself in that box. That action goes in that box. It's one of the things you want to remove. Have you ever heard somebody say this? I put in 110%. Nobody notices, but I put in 110%. Quick analogy. Bike tyre, car tyre, doesn't matter. I fill it up 50% with air, so it's half pumped up. Is that good? What happens to the ride of the car or the bike? It's lopsided, it's bumpy, I could pop a tyre, it's not good. 50% pumped up, not good. If I put 110% air pressure in my bike tyre, in my car tyre, what will happen? It'll explode! People who put in 110% and tell everybody about it, they probably did put in 110%, meaning they put in all this effort so that everybody would notice. And then when nobody notices, what happens? They explode. It's called being a victim or a martyr. There's a nice word. When you have great self-esteem, how much effort do you put in every time, all the time, every day? How much? Just 100. You can't put any more than 100. And do you run around telling people about it? Just say no, Rowie. You do it because it's who you are, not because you need the praise and not because you need the acknowledgement. If you need praise and acknowledgement, just quickly tick the box that says my self-esteem needs turbocharging. Because that means you need self-confidence from external forces. If you do something, whether it's giving, hanging out the washing, taking out the rubbish so that you will get acknowledged or praised, that's just a quick tick box to say, I need to do some work on my self-esteem. Because when you put in 100%, what will happen to your life? When you put your foot down, you can't put your foot down any more than full on. Can you? You can't put your throttle back, you can't put your accelerator down more than 100% because you'd go through the floor and it'll break. I like this one. The plane is extremely full. Can it be extremely full? It's just full. Either all the seats are taken or they're not. You either put in 100% or you don't. You can't put in 110. The reason this is so important is if you do put in 100%, and let's just say 5 small areas every day, and you did that for 7 days, how would you feel? Doesn't matter about the action, but if you committed to something and you did it every single day, 5 things for 7 days, how would you feel about yourself? Just say, great, Rowie. In advance. So what we're going to do, when I heard this the first time, I thought this can't be this easy. It cannot be this easy. But I'll have a go at it anyway. So I did. I'm really privileged, I believe. Thank you, Mutti and my dad. I'm not that smart. I'm not. I just hear a great idea and I don't question, I just implement it. It's called TFI, do not suffer from. TFI is a disease called total failure to implement. Many people have that disease. I'm the kind of person that says, let's have a go at it anyway. So simple thing, pick 5 things that you will do every single day, 7 days a week, 28, 29, 30 days, 31 days of the month, 365 days of the year. You will tick the box every single day and say, I did it, 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 I did it. It can't be something that you can't do. Because then you'll have an excuse. You'll say, I didn't have time, I'm busy, the kids, the weather. No, it's got to be 5 things that you would never not do, that even if you're doing them at the moment, you're going to commit to them 7 days, 365. I'll give you a couple of examples. Might be learn a new word every day. That was one of my things. It might be do 5 minutes of exercise every day. Now you might say to me, but I do an hour every day. I'm talking about every day, 7 days, 365. Even if you've got an injury, even if you're tired, even if it's raining, it's hailing, doesn't matter, you still do 5 minutes. It might be that you make your bed every day. You might be one of those people that doesn't do that. If you're not one of those people but you make a commitment to doing it every day and you do it 7 days, 28 days, 31 days, 365 days, how will you feel knowing that you're now a bed maker? Feel good about yourself because you made a commitment. It's not the thing that's important here. It's the commitment to the consistency, to the tick box, to I did it. That's the important thing here. It might be to read one paragraph of a personal development book every day. Just one paragraph. Some of you might say, yeah, but I listen to half an hour of a CD or I read 5 books a month. No, I'm talking about a commitment that if you come home from a nightclub drunk at 3 o'clock in the morning and you haven't read your one paragraph, what are you going to do? Even if you take nothing in, you comprehend nothing, but you read it anyway, what have you done? You've done it, you can tick the box, I did it. It's called brushing your teeth. How many of you have ever said this? I'm not going to brush my teeth tonight, I'm too tired. Oh, don't tell me you said that. tell me a lie. Yeah, good. How many of you have said, I'm not going to brush my teeth because it's too cold today? Silly, isn't it? How many mums would say to their kids, oh, I'm not going to brush my teeth today because you're making me too busy? It sounds silly, doesn't it? So this is what we call, and you would have heard it at Max, as your toothbrushing list. Because you don't put on your to-do list every day, I'm going to brush my teeth. Please don't. That's got to be, you've got to be past that. You've got to be mature enough now that you brush your teeth without having to write it down. Well, these are some things that become no longer a to-do list, but you are going to tick them off. One of my parents said, I don't have children, one of my parents said this to me, 5 minutes at the same level with my kids every day. And she had little kids. So not 5 minutes pat on the head, good, yeah, what happened at school today. 5 minutes in the lowered position with little kids every day. Might be 5 minutes for you every day. That was one of the things I did. I've got this thing about fingernails. Just a quick one. Look down at your nails. This might be an action plan for you. What kind of self-respecting person has dirty, chipped or chewed fingernails? Is that self-respecting? Just say no. Tell the truth, no. So one of the things that I said was I'm always going to have nice nails. It doesn't matter what happens, I'm always going to have nice nails because that's self-respecting of me. One of those other things that happened with Kerry, we came home one night, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm painting my nails at 3 o'clock in the morning. What are you doing? I haven't done my 5 minutes for me today. Sometimes I lock myself in the toilet with my dogs. Because it's me time. See, my puppies are me, that's who I am, me and my puppies. And that's just us hanging out. I'm asking you to think of 5 things, write them down, learn a new word, read a book, do some exercise, eat a piece of fruit, there's a good one. And you might say, but I eat 5 pieces every day. No, I'm talking about every day, 1 piece, 365 days. Tick the box, tick the box, tick the box, tick the box. You come home from a nightclub at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're drunk and you haven't eaten a piece of fruit today. What are you going to do? Where's the fruit bowl? Got to munch from my apple because I've got to eat a piece of fruit every day. Now, it's not the thing that's important. What I want you to think about now is the mindset. You do it in your diary, for instance. You get to the 28th day of February or the 29th, the 30th day of the month, the 31st, and every single one of those 5 things you've ticked off at the end of the month. How are you going to feel? You are. It's an amazing feeling. Imagine 31st of December, 11:59, you close your diary and 365 days you can tick off all those things. How's that going to feel? The first year I did this, I was so mad. I'd like to swear because I did. 2 days I didn't run. Out of 365 days, there was 2 days that I didn't run. And I could say that I had every right not to run because one of those days I had lost all of my toenails and my feet were so sore I could hardly walk. But when it's the 31st of December and you can only tick 363, not 365, how do you feel? I've never had children, but I imagine it's a bit like this. Women go through absolute massive pain to have kids, but they go back and have more. Yes or no? Because they forget about the pain. They just remember, now I've got this beautiful thing here. Well, there's a beautiful thing that happens at 365 when you've ticked everything off. Never again. Rain, hail, shine, injury, doesn't matter. Rowie runs every day. And I'm just using that as an example because I've had the privilege of being interviewed by Current Affair, Today Tonight, Business Review, Weekly Magazine, Wealth Creator, and they all ask the same question. They say, one, how come you're happy all the time? And two, how did you do what you've done? And the answer is simple. It's the little steps. How do you think you feel when you've said, I'm going to eat a piece of fruit every day for 365, and you have? How do you think you feel? If you've promised to learn a new word every day, and you now know 365 new words. Now, there was a reason for that, and I want to share it with you. How many of you have ever been in a conversation where somebody's used a word that you didn't know the meaning of? And how did you feel? You feel stupid. Now, there's a really important reason I'm sharing this with you. One is, when people are using big words that you don't understand, that's a classic sign of low self-esteem. Because what kind of people use big words that nobody understands? People who need to feel good about themselves. I know all these big words, I'm so smart. People with really high self-esteem make it really simple for everybody to understand. So that was one of the reasons, because I didn't want to be in a conversation where I didn't understand the word. The second one was, as a professional speaker, because that's what I wanted to become, be before you are and you will become, I wanted to learn the big words so that I could dumb them down, make them simple, that I could understand them, and then I could help everybody else to understand them, so that I didn't make anybody else feel uncomfortable. Patty in our Brisbane college did me a really big favour, because there's this word called incongruent. Have you heard that? Yeah. And it means where who you are and what you do aren't the same thing. You're not congruent. But I didn't like using that word, because every time I used it, somebody would look at me and go, what does that mean? She came up with a beautiful one for me. She said, Rowie, use in sync. When who you are and what you do are in sync with each other. That made great sense to me. I liked it. Somebody once said to me, Rowena, you're so facetious. I said, thank you. I had no idea. How long does it take to learn a new word every day? Open up a dictionary, you'll find a word you don't know, write it down, learn it, close it up. 365, how will you feel? Quickly write down 5 things. I'm going to give you the time, please. Write down 5 things you're going to do every day. Every day, every day. How many days? 365. When a current affair comes to interview you and they say, how come you're so happy and you're so successful? You're going to say, because I run every day. How do you think I feel when I run every day? And it's not about the running. That's just a side effect. You get fit and healthy and strong and you lose body fat and you feel great. It's not that makes you feel good. It's the, I've got the discipline to run every day. How good's that? How come you're happy? Because I eat a piece of fruit every day. The reason I'm singing is I used to write my goals down every day. I don't write them down anymore. I sing them. Do you want to sing with me? We'll all sing it together. Ready? I am a billionaire, 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 I am a billionaire. Can't hear you. I am a billionaire, 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 I am a billionaire. Much better than writing it down. Why would you want to become a billionaire? Why would you sing that? Have you seen what Oprah's been doing lately in this global financial crisis? Oh, she's been giving away some massive amounts of money. If you haven't got money, you can't give it away. The richest men in the world right now, everyone's going, oh, poor things, they've lost all this money. How much? What's the difference between 1,000 million and 6,000 million? How many pairs of shoes can you wear? How many houses can you live in? How many cars can you drive? When you've got that much money, it's not about the money anymore. It's what you can do with it. How many of you have ever sat in church or sat in a sporting event or been at the surf lifesaving and someone said, could you give us a donation? How many of you would have loved to got your checkbook out and wrote out a check for $1 million? Yes or no? Come on, how good would that feel? Well, what have you got to do to be able to do that? You've got to do the little things, put them into action, make them happen. Little things, 5 little things. Have you got them written down? Now, what I don't want to happen is some of you won't do it, and I understand that. Because what will happen is if you remove those ridiculous things from your life, like gossiping and criticising and seeking attention and being a martyr and a victim, if you remove those from your life, And if you connect what you do and who you are, and every day you improve by 1%, which is really 5% in each area, if you get out of your comfort zone and do some of those things that you wrote down, and if you do those 5 things every day, what will happen to your ability to put your foot on the accelerator and drive? What will happen? You are going to fly. You know it. Your logical mind even knows it. You also know that every single sporting star, celebrity, politician, successful person in this country today, every single one of them that's become successful gets pulled down. Some of you have shared this with me before. Oprah Winfrey gets over 100,000 negative emails every day. People who say, you're fat, you're ugly, I don't like you. Do you reckon she cares? I'd hope not. I don't know, but I'd hope not. Little things make the big differences. Turn to the person next to you and say it out loud. I'm a doer.
I'm a doer.
And now we're going to do something really, really uncomfortable. Have you got my music? Something very, very, very uncomfortable. No one's going to have to sing.
Cool.
The reason I'm going to pre-frame why this will be uncomfortable, because there's 2 groups of people in the room. One of the groups said this to people, and one of the groups received this from other people when you were growing up. It goes like this. You love yourself. Some of you said that, and some of you were the receiver of that. Somebody said, you love yourself. If you were to toot your own trumpet loudly in Australia, if I got you to stand up tonight and say, I'm really good looking, I'm really intelligent, and I'm really good at what I do, in the general public out there, what would most people say about you? You love yourself. Who do you think you are? Now we're going to put this into a little bit of perspective. I want you to imagine, pretend, set a goal, depending on who you are. World heavyweight boxing title. There's 2 of you in boxing. How many people in a boxing ring going for a world heavyweight title? Just the 2. It's one of the reasons why boxing's such an amazing sport, because it's really the ultimate sport. It's 2 people. If you don't believe in you, and you go into a world title fight to box, and you don't believe that you're the best, what will happen? You will lose. You will get knocked out, you will get beaten up, you will not win. Yes or no? Logical, everyone knows the answer. Life's the same. If you believe that you're second best, you will lose. Self-belief is the same as self-love, is the same as self-respect. Just in this country, it's not cool to say, I love myself. And if you're uncomfortable with I love myself, you might silently say I respect myself. But I want you to say it loudly, uncomfortable as it is. I love me. Go. I love me. I love me. We've got some respects coming out because it's very uncomfortable. How about this? In marketing, because some of you guys I've had for our marketing session. In marketing, you have to believe that you are the best. To be successful in business, you have to be the best for your clients, your customers, your patients. You have to be the best. It's the reason why people aren't successful in business, because they don't believe they're good enough to even say it. To finish off the evening, there was a man who believed he was the best, and he became the world heavyweight champion. Muhammad Ali. I'm going to play you a piece of music. Even if you don't appreciate the music, I don't want you to appreciate it for the music's sake. I want you to really listen to the words. Because some of you, for the first time tonight, you will have thought this was a song about either children or love. It is about love, but it's about the ultimate love, which is... Because the challenge we've got with relationship love... There was a classic Alanis Morissette song a very long time ago, and she had one line in a song, and it went like this. I am not your other half, because 1 and 1 makes 2. I am not your other half, because 1 and 1 makes 2. Your relationships shouldn't make who you are. They just add value to your life. Here's the ultimate test to that. Could you, and don't answer the question, just think about it. Before you answer, don't answer it to me, just think about it. Could you spend 2 weeks by yourself with no iPod, no radio, no Twitter, no MySpace, no Facebook, no television, no books, no paper, no writing, no other people, just you? Think about it. If you did that, let's say you were forced to do that, even if you didn't want to, what would you have to do in that 2 weeks? Think about
You.
the first time, no fishing rod, no bikes, no surfboard, no nothing. There's nothing to do. There's just you.
Can you eat?
Yes, you can eat. You can boil rice, and there's water. So you will have a sustaining lifestyle. The reason I'd like you to think about this is when I was confronted with that, the first time I heard that, I found that extremely confronting. Because I was the person that if I was ever by myself, I had to turn the radio on, turn the television on, had to have people around. I was always social. I always had people at my house. I was running health clubs at the time. We had all these social events. If I was ever by myself, I'd get on the phone and talk to somebody. There's a phenomenon sweeping the world right now for this exact reason. I was watching with interest a thing called Twitter etiquette. Twitter. Is it Twitter or Twitter? Apparently there's a form of status now. When you go to a party, somebody says, how many Facebook friends have you got? And apparently the more friends you have, the higher status you have. Oh, you've got 500. I've got 550. The reason I'm sharing this with you is this is not about external appreciation, external praise, external acknowledgement. See, 550 Facebook friends says I'm really important because 550 people love me. If you're constantly checking your emails and your voicemail and your BlackBerry and your Facebook and your who loves me, who needs to love you? The ultimate self-esteem is that you love who you are. Listen to this piece of music. I'm not going to turn the lights off. If you don't appreciate the music, that's fine. Just sit quietly. It only goes for about 3.5 minutes.
She's not in. She's waiting. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them
life's far more important than a world title boxing match. May you go into everything that you do believing that you are the best because you love the person that you are inside. Thanks for a wonderful evening.